Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to yet another episode of, I guess I'm calling it Sunday Stories for now, because it seems like we're doing this on Sundays. And it is starting to rain a little bit as I come on to the podcast here, so we may have a little bit of a walking storytelling if I have to escape the raindrops. I'm in our special sit spot. I have a presence of what I can only say is maybe a metaphor of Archangel Michael around me right now. There's like a police car. It's official police duty. Kind of like far away, but it's kind of always enters this space where cars come and like do weird things when I'm recording. So this little police car is just kind of sitting there. Excuse me. At a higher octave, I take that as the serve and protect as a sign and portent our upcoming energy theme for the next 3 months. Of course, these are timeless stories, and you can choose to listen to them at any time. And the meanings and messages that come through for you will always be relevant regardless of when you listen to them. If you're a new listener to the podcast, I welcome you here. Sit back and relax. If you're a returning listener, thank you so much for joining me yet again. Kind of a low energy vibe. I have energy, but I just feel like it's very dreamy today. The energy of when I'm recording this is the Sunday. We're in kind of like a weirdish little like 0 point energy right now. This is the Sunday after the Capricorn full moon. The next, I guess, what you would consider gate or energy stop on our journey is going to be the probably 7 from 7/4 to 7/7, maybe right before that. So they're saying like 7 to July 2nd to about July 9th or so, because I think there's a new moon coming up in there somewhere. We're kind of in this energy window, but until about now, which I don't know today's date, the 27th, until like July 2nd, we're if you listen to this when this drops, if you don't, then kind of it could just be that you're in that same kind of little energy window, yourself. Oh, it's raining a lot, but I'm shielded by these trees. Oh, shielded again, protected. I'm under some trees, and I barely feel the rain, although if I look past them a little bit, it's raining a lot. So thank you, trees. This is a beautiful crepe myrtle. I will take a little picture of it, post that on my YouTube shorts. So for you podcast listeners, if you are listening on any major podcast provider, I welcome you in. But I do a few little extra things over on YouTube if you're interested. I know everybody doesn't need to or want to be in all places, but if you want the visual of the podcast, then I've been posting little things on my YouTube shorts, just pictures of stuff from when we're recording or whatever, like behind the scenes stuff. And then I do have, just for everybody, I created 2 new Oracle decks. Twin Hearts is going to be out for the general public soon, as well as Shaman's Drum. So those, they're going to be delivered this coming Tuesday, apparently. So a couple days from now. And on YouTube, I will be posting some little, I'm going to do some readings with those over on YouTube. So if you want little bonus extras on the podcast, you can head over to my YouTube channel and hang out there, follow me there so that you can see some of this additional goodness. If I like the decks, because I have not seen them live in my hands yet, sometimes the way they look, now the female cardinals here, you guys, the way they look, the Divine Feminine, the way they look digitized is different than sometimes how they look in your hands. So let's get us all into our little storytelling circle. Oh, the rain looks so cool right now. There's no way this would even pick up on camera, but it looks like snow. But it's not even touching me because I'm under a lot of leaves in this tree. So it's like I'm standing looking out at snowfall. And the sun is still out, so there's going to be a rainbow somewhere. I have to look for this rainbow. But you can sit back around the sacred storytelling campfire. Say Rapasol and love light and light love. Inviting in the guides who want to join us on this storytelling journey. You can choose to take your listening experience an octave higher and invite in your own spirit guide family to join you around the sacred circle. At the beginning of the podcast, which I'm probably going to start doing a lot more, I posted on the podcast too, a little, what was it? I already forgot. Oh, solstice guitar that I did. And this morning, as part of the podcast, it comes into the story as well that we're going to be telling here in a minute, was Sunday Sonata that I did this morning. So I guess I don't even want to go into my rant on certain things about technology, but thankfully, in gratitude for some of the technology that we're able to use to further our creative pursuits, I've been playing a lot in GarageBand, and thankfully I don't have to have all of these instruments in my home. I basically wouldn't be able to have them all right now, but playing a little bit with the strings because I love the sound of violins and so forth. So created a little Sunday Sonata for us. Now, as always, these stories that we tell are written with the intent via stream of consciousness or automatic writing, all done via channeling from source through the personas and energies of the stories down through me. We're working this month. This is our last installment of Spirit Guides of Tessa, Loch, All Paths Lead Home. When I finish these two little chapters, we kind of get, I think we've already decided, but I should put up a poll somewhere. I don't know. You guys can vote in the comments if you want. We already said we're doing root beer float, but I definitely see as we end this little short story of All Paths Lead Home that we've left Spirit Guides of Tessa, Loch open to come back and do more with the friends that are in this story. And I guess today, I don't know, usually you guys, I'm known for my long intros, but I just don't have a heck of a whole lot to say today. And maybe you feel the same way. When I say we're in 0 point, whenever you get into what's called 0 point energy, you'll kind of feel like you don't know what's going to, like you don't know the way forward. Like it has to slowly be revealed to you because you're supposed to be in a space of receptivity and receiving guidance and downloads and all of that for what's to come next. And because we are ending a quarter of the year and we are starting in July with the signs and the portents and the omens and all that as part of our overarching theme for the next 3 months, I feel like we're kind of in this spot of kind of closing out what's happened over the past 3 months prior, doing some releasing and possibly some energy work around what we've discovered since then, which for me has put me in kind of like a sad vibe, I guess. Kind of a melancholy vibe. Very unexpected things came up over the past couple of weeks, and just was definitely not what I was expecting. Definitely not where I was expecting the path to lead. So our story has been all paths lead home, which I guess in this case, there's a woodpecker. I get so excited by all the nature. It was a woodpecker. So woodpecker spirit animal showing up. I did just see the divine masculine fly by via the male cardinal, and he's really far off, really far away. And then the female cardinal, which is my sign of the divine feminine, was very close to us here in the trees as I was recording this. But anyway, all paths lead home. I guess in this case, home is where the heart is. All paths lead back to you. But I definitely just had some unexpected turns of events that Spirit was redirecting me. It was very clear that it was divine intervention. It was definitely not what I was expecting. So I'm just still trying to integrate all the energy work and all the stuff that's come up over the past couple of weeks. And maybe you're in the same space too. Maybe something has shown itself to you to be not what you thought it would be. Whatever that is, in your life, in your career, in your family, in your home, your relationships, your love life, whatever, your finances, I don't know. But something may have shown itself unexpectedly, and you could still be like just trying to come to terms with what that is. And I think I was watching Nicholas Ashbaugh. I always say Nicholas Ashbaugh. Doesn't have to be so serious, I know. Spirit's like, come on now. I was watching Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's hard to say 3 times fast. Yesterday with some of his end of the month. I like his stuff. And anyway, he was saying, like, you may be sitting around wondering, like, why this, why that? Why did this have to happen? Oh, here comes the rain again. Or you may be like that kid that's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And he's like, you get yourself into a loop of like, why? Well, why did this have to happen this way? And you can get caught in that, like, wondering why certain events happened or certain things came to light. Like, even when you thought you knew what was happening, suddenly there's this strange twist of events, or as we'd like to call it in the higher realms, divine intervention. I just saw a very fast-moving white Jeep, fast chariot, fast-moving energy coming in. It's very surreal today. I do have to say that. It's going to come across in this episode, but it's like I'm standing outside in the sun. I don't feel any of this rain. It's like it's happening all around me. And it's so cool looking the way it's coming down. I wish you guys could see it. So it just feels very surreal. 0 point always feels very surreal. So maybe I am doing a long intro. 0 point feels very surreal. I woke up this morning again early because I had, again, not written anything for the podcast because I've just been, like, focused elsewhere. What have I been focused on? I don't even know. I've been focused on at-home stuff. We are in Cancer season. Stuff has come up around my house that needed to be attended to. Just day-to-day stuff of life. At the same time, juggling all of the internal work that's going on. And now the rain's letting up again. The birds are really happy right now. And in the 0 point, it can just feel like weird. Plus, I always invite in magic. And whenever you get out in nature, the energy, the feeling of magic surrounds you. And it's kind of like, almost like anything could happen. And I think Nicholas Ashbaugh, he did say, like, oh, you want to keep your goals and your dreams kind of realistic. Like, you wouldn't ride a sparkly unicorn to work. And I'm like, yes, I would. I could come riding in to the podcast on a sparkly unicorn. So I do leave a little bit open for magic to enter however it wants to. There's just a lot of birds showing up today all around me. I think they're really liking this rain in the trees. Anything else I have to say? Oh, before we go into the story, so just another quick little, I did record, it's very interesting, on Friday. We did Freaky Fridays. So if you listen on the podcast, Freaky Fridays, we flip the script and we do a video of the podcast. So you get to see me. Some people are more comfortable when they can see you. That goes way back to something in my corporate world. But anyway, there's me on the podcast. We put that over on YouTube, and then I just load the audio version to the podcast. So if you're ever listening to Freaky Fridays on the podcast and you're like, is she talking about a lot of stuff I can't see? It's because it's the video version. So if you go to YouTube, if you want to, then you can actually see what's going on there. But it was a very enigmatic episode in that it was like, what kind of forecast is this? We really didn't have a lot coming through. We did talk about what's coming up. We did read the next chapters in Root Beer Float, which, again, were very vague, like, magic and mischief are afoot. And I was like, you guys, it's not really a very good forecast. But it was part 1, and you said, I'm going to come back for part 2. And then come to find out our decks are coming in. My Oracle decks are coming in this week. And so it looks like part 2 will be some sort of something with cards. Comes the rain again. Wow, it's even more this time, like a lot of rain. Let's see if these trees can shield me from all of this rain. They're doing a really good job of it. Like barely any drops are getting through. So we'll be back with the forecast with cards. But for now, as we're in this dreamy, enigmatic, betwixt and between time, we're going to drop back in to Up Hasley home with our Selkie Dartmoor, who's just met a cat wizard, Masheba, named Neil, and our divine feminine and divine masculine, Jenna and Rutger, who have been separated for a while Rutger went to quote-unquote awaken. Yeah, it's so metaphorical. By the way, he went to the Lone Wolf River to awaken. We've been with that little theme for the past month or so, the Lone Wolf. Jenna, who broke up with Rutger and doesn't understand why she did it. Some weird stuff from her past lives creeping in to influence her now life and the decisions that she was making. And she feels like she's maybe cleared that a little bit, working with Merlin in Avalon through her astral travels. And we drop in where Neil and Dartmoor are headed to his car, parked outside the gates of the millionaire's mansion where they had gone to seek revenge for some of their personal magical items that had been taken from them. And we also come in and join Jenna and Rutger as Jenna's mom leads Rutger back to Jenna to look for supposedly a misplaced, the misplaced car key, key fob. I do want to say, though, I've noticed with the moms in all my stories that they're very, I don't know who she is. I can see her in my mind's eye. She's a Disney, yes, she's a fairy godmother from Cinderella in Disney. That one, the little plump looking lady with the wand and I don't know what, if I had a picture of her. I think she's the fairy godmother from Cinderella, like the OG Cinderella from Disney. And I've noticed the moms in my stories are like that. They're very fairy-like, and they're very fairy godmother-ish. I get the same vibe from Marjorie Lee, who is the mom in this story, as I do from Kyanite Fairy Wings' mom. Off the top of my head, I don't even remember her name now. Garnet Fairy Wing. They have a very similar energy. So when the mother energy comes into my stories, it seems like they come in as like a fairy godmother type of energy. So we have fairy godmother. And what is the fairy godmother, you guys? Like, she was the one that came to Cinderella and kind of helped make all of her wishes come true. So there's we said in our forecast for July, like magic and mischief are afoot, and we have fairy godmother energy coming in to help reconnect energies that should not have been disconnected. Oh, such a pretty little birds. Okay, so let's drop in then with Chapter 17, The Sunday Sonata. Now, Mashibas aren't always the best at keeping secrets. And so as Neil led Dartmoor to the car, he could not contain his excitement at finding a newfound passion of sorts. For Neil was a musician at heart, and in his soul he knew that he must play, regardless of whether his heart was happy or sad. And right now, the vengeance of the stolen mirror was outweighed by the feeling of Dartmoor's hand in his. His heart felt a rhythm he couldn't deny, and so his heart began singing a melody that he thought only he could hear. So go back to the melody at the beginning of the podcast. That is something I composed this morning before I channeled the story. Dartmoor stopped as Neil continued on. "What's wrong?" he asked, stopping himself to do what she appeared to be doing. "Is someone coming?" He turned his head from side to side. The whiskers of his fur, albeit not easily discernible in his human form, bristled in an attempt to pick up whatever it was that Dartmoor was hearing. "No," she said, smiling. "It's the most beautiful music," she said, almost dancing inside the sadness of her own heart. "Yeah?" Neil said, clearly intrigued. "I don't hear anything." Dartmoor moved closer to him and outstretched her hand, holding it lightly over his heart space. "It's coming from inside you," she said, intrigued herself. "It's a song." Neil, who knew full well how he responded to stimuli of any sort, just brushed her thoughts aside with a roguish smile. "Oh, that," he said, grinning, as if it was something commonplace. "Yeah, that happens when I'm happy." Dartmoor was hooked, but she reminded herself she couldn't and wouldn't get too close. But who would have known that a man could play music in his heart? She must know more. "Where were we going?" she asked, thoughts set aside for now about anything other than this siren song. "I want to show you something," Neil the Mashiba said, bypassing the hidden-in-the-bushes car and drawing her into him. He gently touched her hand and drew it up to his heart. Looking deeply into her eyes, he placed his hand on top of hers, and with a sly grin that only a cat wizard can muster, he whispered, "Let's see what songs we can make together." Chapter 18, A Whisper in the Trees. Jenna was nervous. She didn't really want to see Rutger again, but before she had a chance to calm herself, the front door opened. Marjorie Lee bounced into the room and Jenna started. "Mom, when are you going to knock? You don't know what could be going on in here," Jenna said, knowing that nothing exciting ever really happened in her little flat. The worst her mom might see was a naked Jenna doing yoga in front of the big screen. The air felt tense, but in a magnetic sort of way. The way it feels when two lovers come near each other. Rutger entered slowly, not wanting to upset anyone or anything for that matter. He still felt the sting of the words that had ended something that he thought was more serious than maybe it was. But he liked this space and her face, and he smiled as he entered, hoping she would be more welcoming this time. Outside the windows of the flat, a beautiful song played on the radio of a passing car, the music filling the room as the car parked to deliver takeout to Jenna's neighbor. The sonata filled the air, and Jenna felt a lightness enter her heart. And then their eyes met, and time stood still, as they say it always does when two hearts that know each other will meet in that special space where love resides. And as the radio announcer broke in, "Well, folks, we want to thank you yet again for joining us here on Sunday Sonatas. We'll see you back next weekend, where we'll be taking you to the sunny coast of France for Parisian pop." Jenna could not take her eyes off Rutger, and she couldn't for the life of her understand why she had broken up with him to begin with. As Marjorie flitted about looking for the quote-unquote lost key fob, Rutger walked up to Jenna. "I've missed you," he said, surprising even himself. But if there was one thing he learned during his sleepy sabbatical on the Lone Wolf River, it was to never hide or deny his feelings. He loved this girl, and nothing and no one was going to stop him from declaring that. Now, if only she felt the same way, too. Jenna felt her heart skip a beat. She looked from his smile into his eyes. She trembled and her lips locked, uncertain if she should trust herself again. But beautiful music filled her heart when she looked at him, and she knew that whatever crazy past had been before them, that they were here now together, and that love would always find a way. Through the lies, through the years, and through the fears, this love would endure. Want to go on a tall ship's cruise? Was the last thing Marjorie heard as she popped the key fob on the entry table and let herself out the front door. Okay, you guys. That is the end of All Paths Lead Home. It's kind of a magnetic ending, although it's not really an ending, because what I feel like it does is it leaves me to explore Dartmoor and Neil in their own little sidestep, as well as Jenna and Rutger on their tall ship's adventure. So this ends our storytelling for June. We are picking up, because we said we were, with Bringers of the Light and Root Beer Float for July. And we will come back to Spirit Guides of Tessa Loch at some point in the near future. And maybe we'll do some sort of fan favorite poll to see which avenue we want to go down with them next. Do we want to go on a tall ship's cruise, or do we want to see where Cat Wizards and Selkies are going to take us? So that's all I have to share for this episode. I want to thank you all so much for joining me here, and we will see you all again soon in the next episode. Take care.